Hello everyone, something a little different and interesting here. It was shared by Orion Intel on Twitter. So what this image shows is the monitoring of NATO ISR, intelligence, signals and reconnaissance aircraft around Ukraine, plus the types of aircraft they are. This was taken between 5th of November to 20th of December, and I thought it worth a look at to see who and what is patrolling where, and also areas of high activity. So we're going to start with one of the hotspots, south in Crimea and the Black Sea. So you can see the two aircraft patrolling there are the RC-12X and the RQ-4. The RC-12X is a manned aircraft. The RQ-4 Global Hawk, a drone with a very long flight time of 30 hours. These we can see are launched in southern Europe, maybe Italy, and they patrol the Black Sea. In the past we've also seen RAF rivet joints patrolling here, but none going over the Black Sea as of November. A little further west around Romania, there are a bulk of ISR flights. These ones are hugging the coast and staying over land, but not heading over the Black Sea itself. Now here, and apologies, the red shades are too similar for me to tell them apart, but we're looking at E8C Joint Star, operated by the US, or EP3, a variant of the Orion patrol aircraft, again operated by the US. In pink, there are flights of a P-8 Poseidon. These flights are in northeastern Romania, flying a tight circle along the coast, again not heading over the Black Sea itself. A number of countries operate these, but given the flight came from the south, it's likely American or possibly a British one from Cyprus. With a maritime role, these will be monitoring ship activity in the Black Sea. In the darker shade of purple we have some flights of the G550, again over Romania. I believe these are Italy's contribution to the efforts. The US doesn't operate the ISR variant of this aircraft. In orange we have the good old E3 Sentry, an airborne early warning aircraft monitoring flights over the Black Sea. I expect these will give early warning to Ukraine of missile launchers and drone launchers from Crimea, such as the Shahed drone or Caliber from ships. Here on this map, we're going to have a look at its radar coverage, a range of around 375 kilometers. So you can see it can detect quite a lot around the Crimean airspace, including a bit over Crimea itself. The E3 flights become a sort of spider's web of trails. Some head south off-screen. Whether that's part of a patrol route or just some base south, I can't tell. Others are coming from Central Europe. France, Britain and the US operate the E3, and NATO also has 16 flying from a German airbase. In yellow, the RC-135 rivet joint appears. I mentioned these earlier, that they used to carry flights over the Black Sea itself. Now they seem more restricted to being over Romania. These signals intelligence aircraft are operated by the RAF and the US. A couple of these are RAF flights, as we can see the line extending off map towards the UK. A few extend south, these could be US ones. Finally, we have some Artemis flights shown in green. This is a new aircraft, some say just the prototype being field tested by the US. The Artemis intercepts communications, and while its detection range is kept secret, it's said to be very long at a high altitude. So these are monitoring communications likely in southern Ukraine, so around the Kherson region, Melitopol, that sort of thing. Likely some of the intelligence gathered was vital during the Kherson counter-offensive. We will now head north a bit to here, the western border of Ukraine. Here we can see the same aircraft for the most part. We can see a lot of E3 Sentry patrols here, so I'll use this moment to take another diversion to check out its detection range from here. So, as mentioned earlier, a detection range of 375 kilometers. These are flying over Poland, so, as seen here, these flights monitor western Ukraine, Lviv is a key city here, and also Belarus. So these aren't going to detect Tu-95s or Blackjacks or launchers from over Russia, but they will detect approaching missiles heading over Belarusian airspace, tracking the flight and providing intelligence for potential threats approaching Lviv and cities in that region. We can also see more flights of the G550, a detection range of 200 nautical miles, so not as far as the E3, but it's still a second pair of eyes to monitor and track threats around Lviv. Artemis makes an appearance again. He certainly gets around. Artemis flights are going pretty much everywhere, from Romania up into Estonia. Our old friend Rivet Joint again appears in this area, though given the spider's web of lines, it's hard to tell if Rivet Joint patrols here, or if it's just part of its route from the UK to Romanian airspace. It appears to me that there's a lot of Rivet Joint patrols in this area. This seems to be the main area where Rivet Joint is sent, so this area is pretty much under the jurisdiction of the Rivet Joint aircraft. They monitor signals intelligence, so as you can see this is near the border to Belarus, so it's likely providing intelligence on Belarus, if it's going to be a push south from Belarus, that sort of thing. So they're playing a pretty important role. I think I mentioned earlier that the Rivet Joints used to patrol around Crimea, so perhaps this is a new patrol route as of November for the Rivet Joint, solely to carry out that important role. Who knows? We'll have to check earlier flights and see if the patrols have shifted here, or if the Rivet Joint has always patrolled in this region. Here we have a new appearance. This is either the S100D or the S102B. I can't tell if the same shade of yellow is being used or if it's slightly different, but I'm too colourblind to tell. But they are different aircraft. The S102B is a signals intelligence aircraft. S100 is an airborne early warning. These are Swedish, so part of the Swedish contribution. These you can see are monitoring the border of Belarus. I believe from what I can tell online, these are the S102B, so monitoring communications, signals and intelligence gathering. No doubt looking for any signs of a possible push south from Belarus. Moving up, you can see clear patrol routes of the Swedish aircraft, north to south along the border. If these are indeed the signals aircraft, these will be providing an important role. We can also see patrols from Artemis and G550 again. This map section is interesting because it also shows that Kaliningrad has not been neglected and is heavily patrolled too. The Swedish S102 and S100 of course patrol heavily around here, as does, up near Lithuania, an RC-12X flies regular patrols, covering Kaliningrad and the northern Belarus region. Irregular patrols here, a EP-3E passed there a couple of times, as did, again, Artemis. On the western part of Kaliningrad, we can see a few patrols by the E3, but it's mainly, in pink, the P8, which looks to be flying from Britain, and the Swedish S102 and S100. So pretty interesting to see. NATO and Sweden have much of the key airspace covered by a variety of airframes, from signals intelligence to airborne early warning. The Black Sea and Crimea look to be exclusively the patrol route of the US, with other nations, like RAF Rivet Joints, patrolling near Romania. The Swedish aircraft have a long patrol route covering Kaliningrad as well as Belarus and western Ukraine. The northern parts of the coast and the seas off of Kaliningrad looks to be heavily patrolled by RAF P8s. We also have E3 and other airborne early warning aircraft covering what they can, so Crimea, launch points of Shahed drones, and Belarus, a flight path for various launchers, not to mention MiGs with a Kinzhal are based there. And also signals intelligence covering large parts of Belarus too, as well as southern Ukraine. Now I'm not sure how far the ranges of the signals aircraft are, the detection ranges that is, but a few gaps seem to be the Eastern Front and Russia itself. But I expect there are other methods of monitoring the communications there. Now it should be pointed out that this is likely just a small fraction of the airframes available to NATO. There could well be more, especially unmanned systems which haven't been tracked and monitored, not to mention satellites and that sort of thing. And I can't stress enough how important the satellite usage is. Even commercial satellites provide high definition, very clear coverage and footage and photos. So the military ones must be better and must be monitoring it at all times. So a big thank you to some more Patreons. So big thanks to Peter, Max, G Law, Sebastian, Johanan, Sketchy, and Voyager. I appreciate the support a lot. Thanks very much. So that's it for this video. If you found it interesting, please click like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Thanks again, and take care everyone.